What happens when the player whom jealous WNBA veterans tried to dismantle doesn't just survive, but transcends the league entirely to win on a level they can no longer reach? Caitlin Clark just shattered another ceiling, securing the most prestigious broadcasting role in women's basketball history by joining the NBA on NBC's national team, alongside icons like Carmelo Anthony and Tracy McGrady. This milestone exposes every denial made about her cultural gravity. While critics spent 2 seasons claiming Clark wasn't the catalyst for exploding ratings, surging ticket sales, and the influx of mainstream fans, NBC made a silent move to place her at the center of America's biggest basketball stage. This is where the truth becomes painful. While Clark is being welcomed into elite NBA circles watched by millions every week, the same veterans who mocked her supporters, downplayed her impact, and treated her like a liability are now panicking behind the scenes. Desperate for salary, demands the owners may never meet.
It was announced on Tuesday that Caitlin Clark will join NBC Sports to serve as a special contributor for its new Basketball Night in America program. Caitlin Clark will make her debut as a TV analyst on February 1st, preceding the Lakers versus Knicks game at Madison Square Garden, per a release from NBC.
Caitlin Clark didn't just land another endorsement or media appearance. She crossed into territory no active WNBA player has ever reached. NBC Sports has officially integrated her into their brand new Basketball Night in America broadcast, placing her directly alongside NBA legends on one of the most valuable stages in sports media. This isn't a podcast cameo or a brief sideline interview. This is primetime national television tied to the NBA, the most powerful basketball brand in the world. And Clark is the first active WNBA player trusted with such a role. Her debut is set for tonight, February 1st, at Madison Square Garden, right before the Lakers face the Knicks. This ensures her first appearance as an analyst won't be tucked away on a quiet night. It will be in front of millions of NBA fans watching one of the league's most iconic matchups. NBC didn't ease her in quietly either. They paired her with Carmelo Anthony, Tracy McGrady, and Vince Carter, players whose careers define basketball excellence, while Maria Taylor hosts the show that anchors NBC's entire Sunday night basketball strategy.
Wow. So this would be akin to, they have Sunday Night Football, and it starts with a pregame show called Football Night in America. I didn't know they were creating Basketball Night in America, but here we are. Here we are. It will be Caitlin Clark's first time in an analyst-type role on TV.
The timing of this move amplifies Clark's rise, as she steps into an exclusive media role while the WNBA spirals through its messiest labor negotiations to date. Veteran players are currently locked in chaotic CBA talks marked by public friction and salary demands that clash with the league's current financial standing. Amidst this instability, Caitlin Clark has effectively separated herself. NBC didn't hire her to navigate WNBA politics. They hired her because she commands viewership, credibility, and cultural significance, the very assets the league struggles to protect. Executives acknowledge that Clark draws an audience far beyond traditional circles, bringing in casual viewers and younger fans who never engaged with the WNBA before her arrival. Ironically, these are the same fans veteran players spent seasons dismissing as fake or temporary. Now, those supporters are the reason Clark is receiving opportunities the rest of the league can only observe from the sidelines. NBC recognizes what the league avoids saying: Caitlin Clark isn't just a player, she's a media powerhouse. Placing her on a primetime NBA broadcast leverages that influence instantly. Her compensation for this role is expected to surpass many full WNBA salaries, not because of a negotiated demand, but because the market determined her value. While others argue over the past, Clark is already defining the future.
Caitlin Clark joins Michael Jordan as a splashy acquisition for NBC and NBA coverage. Despite his limited role, simply having Jordan as part of the coverage created buzz. NBC is surely hoping Caitlin Clark's involvement will do the same. Of course, Caitlin Clark is expected to offer unique insights in assuming the analyst role for the first time, and her basketball IQ cannot be questioned. So the transition will be a seamless one for the Indiana Fever's star point guard.
This moment effectively dismantles the narrative veteran players spent years trying to maintain. For 2 consecutive seasons, they insisted Caitlin Clark was not the catalyst for the league's unprecedented surge in attention, ratings, and revenue. Yet, the most powerful media partners in sports are now acting as if the truth were undeniable all along. NBC didn't require a committee, a union vote, or league authorization to acknowledge what the public already knew. Clark moves the needle in a way no one else can. That reality clearly makes many people uncomfortable. The same players who complained about her overexposure, who accused officials of protecting her, and who went out of their way to physically target her on the court, are now watching a different reality unfold. While Clark sits comfortably alongside Hall of Famers, discussing the NBA on national television, her loudest detractors are left waving inflatable rats outside league offices, mired in the very chaos they helped create.
Quote, "I'm really excited to be part of Basketball Night in America crew this season," said Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark is one of the most captivating players and dynamic scorers in basketball, said Sam Flood, executive producer of NBC Sports. "We're excited to have Caitlin join Hall of Famers Melo, Vince, Tracy, and Reggie in New York for the launch of Sunday Night Basketball."
And this is where the situation turns openly hypocritical. While Caitlin Clark is being rewarded by the market for the value she generates, the WNBA Players Association is demanding capital it hasn't earned, framing the request as a moral entitlement. The same veterans who spent 2 seasons insisting Clark had nothing to do with the league's revenue spike are now using that very surge to justify massive salary demands that clash with financial reality. They are pushing for a team salary cap exceeding $10 million and individual maximum contracts approaching $2.5 million, figures that would immediately destabilize franchises and force the league into a lockout. Ownership didn't meet these demands with insults or empty rhetoric. They countered with the hard math of a business that is still fighting for long-term sustainability.
NBA is so dumb right now that like it's heading towards the lockout. So
no progress.
No,
Like just nothing.
honestly, nothing. We get like weekly emails from the PA side of things, and it's just so dumb.
Yeah.
Dumb.
As these negotiations drag on, something else is surfacing that the union clearly didn't anticipate. Public support is starting to crack, and it's cracking fast. Fans haven't forgotten the last 2 seasons. They remember the interviews where veterans mocked new audiences, dismissed casual viewers, and complained about the singular focus on Caitlin Clark. They remember the eye rolls, the sarcasm, and the gatekeeping tone that made new supporters feel unwelcome for simply enjoying the game. Now, those same players are demanding massive paydays funded by the very people they spent years insulting, and the audience is calling out the contradiction in real time. Social media comment sections are flooded with people pointing out the hypocrisy, questioning why they should back a union that treated their interest as a problem until it was time to cash the check.
Some of the rhetoric I've heard from their side has been a little bit troublesome. You know, like when a deal is presented that's over $1 million max salary and revenue share, it's called a slap in the face. Like, use different words. And I'm worried that the players might be getting to a point where they might be losing some of the support from the public. The players just need to be a little bit more careful with how they're articulating things, because if you're working whatever job, a max salary of 1.2 million, average salary of 500,000. If you don't think it's fair, that's fine, but don't call it a slap in.
This is the moment where the situation stops looking like mere incompetence and starts looking intentional. The true scandal behind these failing negotiations isn't just the unrealistic demands, it's the massive conflict of interest sitting right at the top of union leadership. 2 of the most powerful figures within the WNBA Players Association are simultaneously building and profiting from a competing professional league that directly benefits when the WNBA struggles. Breanna Stewart and Nafisa Collier don't just hold high-ranking leadership roles within the union, they are the co-founders and equity owners of Unrivaled. This is a rival league that targets WNBA players, sponsors, and media dollars. While they sit at the CBA table authorizing strikes and making demands that could bankrupt WNBA franchises, They are also marketing a business that becomes the only game in town if the WNBA goes dark. It's a textbook conflict of interest that the mainstream media has largely ignored. The very people tasked with saving the league's future are heavily invested in a startup that thrives on its instability.
God gave you a person, and now you're rejecting it. Y'all should be like Caesar. I appreciate you, Caitlin. Thank you. I can eat a little bit better. She got paid this. She get a signature shoe. Hey, I'm a 2-time MVP. I'm a champion. The fact that there's this much animosity about the person that's feeding you. And I'm going to say it just like she's feeding y'all.
Yes.
Doors that y'all didn't do. So to be honest, shut up. Because y'all couldn't do it. Just accept it and benefit.
When fans realized that union leadership could personally benefit from WNBA instability, the online conversation shifted from confusion to outright anger. Suddenly, the stalled negotiations felt less like a stalemate and more like a strategy. Supporters began questioning why the same leaders pushing for massive salary hikes were openly promoting a rival league during critical labor talks, and why they seemed more passionate about building sustainability elsewhere than fixing the league they currently represent. Every interview, every social media post, and every sideways remark added fuel to the fire. It became increasingly difficult to believe these negotiations were solely about player welfare when personal business interests were so clearly positioned to thrive in the vacuum of a WNBA lockout.
When she announced she was going pro, I immediately ran over to Lynn Dunn and said, "We have Elvis." She's like, "What?" I said, "There's been a lot of singers in music. There's only one Elvis. This is Elvis." And I knew, I've been in sports for 40 years. I knew this was something special. There's moving the needle. She's the needle. And I say it, there's been no one like her in all of team sports.
Sophie Cunningham said it in a podcast previously. She sees the conflict of interest between Nafisa Collier, Brianna Stewart, and the WNBA. She sees the conflict of interest. So what are you doing to circumvent that conflict and actually get some of the real facts? Some of the real truths that could be taking place.
Caitlin Clark's historic NBC deal does more than mark a personal milestone. It exposes the fundamental difference between building real value and trying to force it. While certain factions of the league remain tangled in ego, entitlement, and blatant conflicts of interest, Clark continues to move forward by focusing on the one thing that creates true leverage: delivering a product the world actually wants to invest in. She didn't need to threaten the season, shame the fans, or stage protests to reach this height. She earned her seat through excellence, professional conduct, and undeniable consistency. As the WNBA faces a critical junction that will define its future, the public is paying close attention to who is growing the game and who is risking its survival. One side is dedicated to expanding opportunity and welcoming new audiences into the fold. The other is trapped in internal politics and gatekeeping that only serve to push people away. By the time this saga ends, the message couldn't be clearer. You can either move with the needle or get left behind by the very momentum you tried to deny.